If man's concept of himself were different, everything in this world would be different. Neville Goddard. So something that I've been thinking about recently is how does our current beliefs or our concept of ourselves affect our current reality? For example, if you needed to learn how to design something in Photoshop and you went into the program and saw that it was very overwhelming at first sight, then how would your concept of yourself determine if you can or cannot learn how to use Photoshop? People with a low concept of themselves would look at the situation and say, wow, Photoshop is really overwhelming. I cannot learn this. I'm just not smart enough. But other people who have a high concept of themselves would say, okay, this is really challenging, but I'm going to put in some hours and I'm going to learn how to do this. So looking at that situation, it's clear that your beliefs or your concept of yourself affects your reality. And so when looking at other areas of your life, like health, wealth, or relationships, it's obvious, right? If you want to achieve your goals, then you need to have a high concept of yourself. So now that you have an understanding of the clear relationship between your beliefs and your current reality, in today's video, I want to discuss some of the principles that I'm using to become a millionaire in my 20s. Now, I'm not making this video to, brag or be arrogant, but more so because I wish I had had a video like this a couple years ago. So if you feel like you're not maximizing your life, whether it be working a job you hate or just not making enough money or just going to school, but you feel like there's no purpose to what you're doing, this video is going to help you because it's going to introduce you to some of the ideas that will allow you to take a step back, think about what you want, and then actually zoom in and focus on it and then achieve that thing. And so what you're going to get is not just financial wealth from this video, but also spiritual wealth. So let's get into some of the principles that I'm using to become a millionaire in my 20s. Number 1, become a questioner. In order to achieve excellent results, you need to become a questioner. And the reason why is when you question things, then you have a greater sense of not just self-awareness, but also you discover unconventional patterns and unconventional solutions when people may be looking at things just from a conventional perspective. And I have many examples of being a questioner, but one that really stands out was when I was in high school. I've talked about this before, but I remember I was going through a period where I wasn't satisfied with my grades. And one of the things I used to do at the time was I would just read my notes and study, and I would basically go to sleep late because I would, spend a lot of time on my homework and kind of read my notes when I was studying for a test. And I remember one day I asked myself, what if there's a different way? What if I'm just doing things wrong? And so I ended up buying a book called How to Become a Straight A Student by Cal Newport. And after reading that book, I tried a study method where I would basically act like I was the teacher or professor of a class. And I would basically teach this imaginary class about what I was learning. And so this was my method of studying. And what I found was, number 1, it took way less time to do. And I retained the information much better than when I was just reading my notes. And so what this did was it got me much better grades. It saved time, right? I didn't have to spend all of my time just studying. I actually had more time to do the things I want to do. And I was just able to get more sleep. And so you can see here how there is value in questioning things, right? That's just one example, but think about the many examples of people that have to question things, right? If you look at successful entrepreneurs, the best entrepreneurs are people who question the way things are done, and then they create a product or service that people aren't aware that they want yet, but they bring it to the market and it basically changes how things are done. And so my point is you have to become a questioner, right? You have to question if you're doing the things that you want to do, if you are going on the path that you want to go on, or even stepping back, what is the path that you want to go on, right? You have to think about that. And so create just 10 to 15 minutes a day. Take some time, think about what are the things that you want to do. And if you don't have an answer to that yet, then you need to try more things, try new things, and see what you enjoy and see what you don't enjoy. And then from there, you focus on the things that you enjoy. But again, you need to become a questioner. And also just note that when you become a questioner, not everyone is going to agree with you, right? You're going to come up with some unconventional solutions, like I just mentioned with entrepreneurs, but also even myself. So that's where faith comes in, because when you have this unconventional path and you really believe that that is the right way, then you need to do it. Even if you have other people telling you that you shouldn't do it, or you have your friends, your family, whatever, they don't have faith in you. The most important thing is that you have faith in yourself, because although your friends and your family members, of course they want the best for you, but when you have a sense of self-awareness, you can't let your friends or the people around you persuade you to do things that you don't want to do. And so that's where questioning, right? You question what you want to do, but then also faith, right? Sometimes you can't listen to the people around you. You shouldn't listen. Now, it's not every situation. Honestly, like most of the time, you probably should listen to people. But there's various situations where you shouldn't listen to people because you have questioned things and you have determined the vision that you want. And so you need to go and focus on that and have faith. And so that's how questioning everything and faith, they go hand in hand. But become a questioner, because if you don't become a questioner, then you're going to live a conventional life. You're going to go on a conventional path, which if that's what you want, then fine, but you aren't going to be able to develop the most self-awareness and basically the ideal version of yourself if you aren't questioning what you're doing. Number 2, focus on building leverage. What I've noticed is that a lot of people chase money and status. And again, this may sound ironic because I'm making a video about how I'm going to become a millionaire, but if you've been listening closely, this isn't a video about becoming a millionaire. At least it's not just about that. We're talking about how to become the best version of yourself on a spiritual level. And then once you do that, it just transfers to money. And so instead of focusing on earning money or status, right? Certain careers, they have, a lot of status. What you do instead is you focus on building leverage. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean that you have leverage. For example, if I am a doctor or a lawyer and I'm working 12 to 14 hour days, do I really have leverage? Because I may be making a lot of money and I may have a lot of prestige because of a doctor being a prestigious career, but do I really have leverage? And so leverage is something that you're going to have to define. For me, leverage is the ability to control what I work on, controlling who I work with. That's also something that's very important. I don't want to work with people that I'm just forced to work with. Controlling where I work, that's also something that is important to me. And then controlling when I work, that's also a form of leverage to me, because if someone is setting my hours, then to me, it's like I don't even have control over my body. I don't have control over when I get to work. So to me, someone who's making $60K a year and they work 30-hour weeks and they basically control where they work, who they work with, and what they're working on has way more leverage than someone who is making $100K, working 80-hour weeks, and they don't control when they work, what they're working on, and who they work with. So for this situation, while the person making $100K a year may earn more money and they may even have a more prestigious career, to me, the person who is making $60K a year has way more leverage because they control where they work, they control what they're working on, and they control who they work with. Now, you may disagree with that perspective, and that's okay. But the important thing is that you have to define what building leverage is for you, because by my definition, that is more leverage for me. And so that's what I'm working towards. I'm working towards building leverage by my definition. So my point is, don't just focus on earning more money or chasing a prestigious career. Focus on building leverage, right? Build leverage. That is what you should be focused on, because when you define what leverage is for you and then you start building that, then that's just more valuable than just solely earning money or chasing a prestigious career. You're going to be happier because you're going to have a greater sense of awareness of what you want. And also in that example, I use someone that makes less money but has more leverage. There are, of course, situations where you make more money and also control those factors that I talked about before. Number 3, build in public. So what is building in public? Well, for me, building in public is basically documenting your journey and then sharing it online. And the way that you do it in a valuable way is that I talked about this in the last video, but you target people that are a couple steps behind you. And what you do is you share what you're currently doing. You share some of the things that you're facing, right? Some of the problems that you're facing, or some of the things that you're achieving. And then you share it to people, again, that are a couple steps behind you. So for example, let's just say I was going on a weight loss journey. What I would do is I would document where I am right now, right? Maybe I am obese. And then I would go through the journey. I would document myself losing weight, and I would basically teach people how I'm doing it, right? These are some of the things that I'm doing. Maybe I'm cutting certain things from my diet, or I'm exercising this certain way. You basically share what you're doing, and you share the steps for how people can do this. And the reason why this is valuable is that, number one, you're teaching people. So you're internalizing the information even more. So that's number one, that's the benefit. But then also you are helping people, right? You're helping people, you're serving people. And when you go through things, it's really important that you give back to people and you share how other people can achieve what basically you've been doing. And you may hear this and say, well, I haven't achieved anything, or I'm not an expert at anything. And I think the thing that people are missing is that you don't have to be an expert, or you don't have to achieve a lot of things to share online. The only thing that's important is that you're willing to be vulnerable and basically go on a journey and share what you've learned. Because people like leaders, right? We like looking at other people doing things and saying, dang, I really admire what they're doing. I'm going to do something in my own life to get to where I want to go. And so when you're going on a journey, it's just fun to bring other people along with you. And so what you do is you go on the journey, you share what you're learning, and you basically help other people and raise the collective consciousness of humanity. Because as humans, we were put on this earth, right? And we had a lot less than what we do now. And so we had to fight for survival. And so when you're giving information to other people, it's not that you're giving them the basic level things like food, but you're giving them information to basically aid in their ability to survive. Of course, in the context of information, because we live not in an industrial economy, but in a knowledge economy. And so knowledge is power, but really it's leverage knowledge, right? You have to be able to apply that knowledge and do it in an intentional way to build leverage. And also, there's a business aspect to building in public, because not only are you making an impact, but you're also building an audience. And when you build an audience, you're building traffic. And of course, like I talked about in the last video, there's traffic and there's offers. And so what you do is when you have traffic, you build an offer, right? You build a service or you build a product that helps your audience get to where they want to go. And you do this based on your experience of getting to where you have want it to be. And so not only is there impact in building an audience, but you can also support yourself by doing that. So win-win situation. Number 4, pay yourself first. So usually when people talk about paying themselves first, they usually talk about saving or investing. And while those things are very valuable, right? You need to save your money, and then you also need to invest to make your money work for you. It's also important to invest in yourself. And what that means is investing in your mind. And so for me, the way that I currently do this is I buy books and I also buy paid courses. And I do these things because I'm investing in my mind. And to me, the mind, my mind, your mind is the most valuable asset that you can have. Because if you're only outsourcing your money to the market, then you're relying on a financial advisor or basically the market to return more money for you. But I think what people don't realize is that if you can invest in a course or just invest in your mind, again, you already are a millionaire. You already have $1 million worth of knowledge in your mind. All you need to do is figure out how to transform that knowledge into action and build something that is worth multiple millions of dollars for other people. And so again, in order to do that, you need to invest in yourself. And so that means investing in anything that allows you to transform your knowledge into action so that you can actually actualize that knowledge and basically transform it into money or value for other people. So here's just a few things to invest your money into. So books, courses, paid seminars, coaching, etc. Right? So invest in yourself. That is the most important thing. Your mind can't be saturated. It can't be outsourced. You have to put time into basically nourishing your mind, and again, turning your mind or your thoughts, ideas into actions that creates value in the market. And so when I say pay myself first, that's what I mean. It means investing in my ability to turn ideas into action. Number 5, build meaningful relationships. This one is pretty obvious, but you need to be able to build meaningful relationships. And this doesn't just mean building relationships with people that you think have power, but it means building relationships with also people that are at a similar level as you, and then raising yourselves together, right? Raising yourselves up together and basically being allies or friends along this process of becoming, whatever you want to do. And so your network of people is really important. And this is something that, to be honest, I have had a hard time understanding for the past couple years, because to me, networking has always been this thing that, there's no meaning in it. Because as a business student, right, I'm currently a college student, I'm a marketing student. Basically, what they teach in college is like you network with people, you build connections, basically to get jobs. And a lot of it seems very transactional, but it doesn't have to be that way. And so when I speak about like building relationships, what I mean is building relationships with people that have similar goals as you. And then again, going through that process of supporting each other with your goals and achieving your goals together. Some ways that I have found to meet people like that, I think number 1, of course, it's just like your people around you. You will find people around you that they don't always have similar goals, but certainly you guys will click. But then another way is just reaching out to people online and going back to building in public. Like, this is the benefit of just sharing yourself online, because when you share who you are online, people are attracted to that, and then they'll reach out to you, and then you can just build relationships from there. But even if you don't have an online presence, just DMing someone that you think is interesting and talking, and then potentially, if you're in the same city, going out and doing something together, or even joining paid communities. So if you have a goal that you are trying to achieve, let's just say you want to build a creator business or build a real estate side hustle, what you can do is you can join a Facebook group, and it can be paid, it can be not paid, but you join a Facebook group that has people that want to achieve that goal. And again, you just reach out to people. So building relationships, it's not just an in-person thing. You also have to leverage the power of social media and basically make connections with people doing that. But there's a famous saying about like the 5 people that you surround yourself with determines your future. I'll put up the quote. But the point is, you really need to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, because if you don't, then you may surround yourself with people that take you down the wrong path. So if you're just hanging out with people that like the party, I'm not knocking like partying, but if that's not what you want to do, then you're going to get sucked up into doing the things that someone else wants to do and not following the path that you want to do. So that's why building meaningful relationships is extremely important, because when you surround yourself with people that will support you, then you guys can go on the journey together. Because look, I can say this as a creator, there's nothing worse than trying to build, a presence online and not having people around you that do the same thing. It can be a lonely process when you do it that way. And so I realized, it took me 2 years to realize this, but I have to surround myself with other creators that have a similar vision as me. And then we basically will go on kind of that journey together. And again, this applies to other domains. So build relationships, build meaningful relationships with other people. Number 6, process over results. So this is the final principle that I will be keeping in mind, but it's focus on the process and not focus on results. And look, this has become cliche at this point. I know like everyone talks about, embracing the process, but let's be honest, like it can be difficult to embrace the process when you're in it. And it's easy to just focus on the results, especially when you're not getting results. That's the hardest part. But this goes back to my initial quote, which is your concept of yourself determines your reality. And so what you need to do is you have to continue to have confidence in yourself and enjoy the process. And one thing that I've learned from doing this is that when you're always leveling up, so when you're always, learning something new, it's pretty easy to enjoy the process. And so if you feel like you aren't enjoying the process right now, then it may mean that you're not learning enough things. And so you need to at least try something new, or you need to learn something new on the journey that you're already doing. So I remember one example that I've personally done is right now I'm trying to level up my thumbnails. So I've been learning Photoshop. And what I've realized from working in Photoshop is that there is a lot that I need to learn about Photoshop. So again, if you are struggling to embrace the process, it's probably because you're not learning enough. And so you need to start more things, learn those things, and what will happen is that you'll realize that there's a lot that you need to learn. But my point is just enjoy the process, right? Focus on the present, leverage the power of now, and use that to improve your process, because ultimately, I think what people don't realize is that success isn't an event, it's a process. And so even if you're doing the right process right now, your results may be delayed. So just enjoy the process, because when you have faith in yourself, the results will come. Because great people, they aren't built overnight, right? Even when we look at companies, Apple was a great company before they were recognized as a great company. So you are a great person right now, but focus on how you can continue to improve that, and then your results will come. So these are the principles that I'm using to become a millionaire in my 20s. If you found some value from this video, I have a playlist here about how to start living better, and I also have a video here that you may enjoy. Thank you for watching. Definitely like, subscribe if you haven't already, and peace.